We're back in the My Hero Academia universe, and today I want to talk about the little guy that everybody loves to hate, Minoru Mineta. If you've watched any MHA, you know Mineta. He's the smallest in the class, he has a weird purple head, and a huge personality. A lot of fans can't stand him. But why? And is there another side to Mineta that we should be appreciating more? Let's take a look at this contentious character and answer the question, what's his deal? After the video as well, be sure to head over to our TikTok at MysticSage1 for some more interesting trivia on Mineta. I also post daily anime facts and trivia over there, so be sure to go check it out. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video about this purple graped character. Mineta was introduced right at the beginning of the story along with the rest of Class 1A, but he didn't pop up very much until the attack on USJ. Our first impressions of him are not great. He cements himself as a comic relief character pretty quickly, making gross comments about girls' bodies to the disgust of the other characters as well as the audience. This becomes a running joke, even up to the current arc of the anime. And it gets tiring because it paints him as a one-dimensional character whose only trait is making inappropriate comments. If you ask a My Hero Academia fan about Mineta, this is frequently the one thing they will say about him. Now, there are many other characters who don't get as much depth and development as the main ones. Aoyama, Koda, and Sero are a few that come to mind from Class 1A alone. In a show with such a large cast, it makes sense that not everyone will get as much time in the spotlight. But Mineta is the one that sticks out, specifically because he can be uncomfortable to watch. Contrasted against people such as Deku and Ochako, who have pure intentions and kind personalities, Mineta comes off as immature. While this can be a good way to highlight those more heroic characters, Mineta is the only one that acts so much like a child. Even Monoma, who has an overblown ego that also comes off as immature, is nowhere near as annoying, because he has another side to his personality, namely that his quirk is less hero-like. Therefore, he feels like he has to try harder to be seen as a potential hero. So Mineta isn't the only childish one, but he is probably the most grating. But then we have characters like Toga and Midnight, who's literally called the R-rated hero. That can be uncomfortable to watch too, and can be considered inappropriate. However, both are popular characters in their own right, and others with gimmicky quirks don't get anywhere near the amount of hate that Mineta gets, like Aoyama with his navel laser, or Kinoko Komori with her mushrooms. So, what is the deal with Mineta? I have to confess that I don't dislike him as much as other fans do. That's not to say I condone the way he acts around women. Honestly, if I knew someone like that in reality, I would find him just as disgusting as everyone else. I think fans are justified in finding his personality annoying, but reducing him just to a gross teenager with a gimmicky quirk isn't entirely fair. Much like Monoma, there's another side to him as a character, so let's explore that. First, there's his quirk. Pop-Off is a unique power, which allows him to grow sticky orbs on his head that he can pull off, and they stick to anything except Mineta himself. It's a quirk that would be difficult to use in terms of becoming a hero, since it's not combat focused and doesn't have many obvious support uses. Removing too many can also cause his head to bleed, which as a side effect sounds pretty painful. You can't call Pop-Off a badass quirk by any means, but Mineta manages to use it in a way that's clever enough that he made it into the top class at UA. He's actually a strong support, since he comes up with so many ways to take advantage of the different qualities of his quirk. Whether that's bouncing off the balls, Wipeout style to gain speed and get advantage on the field, or sticking his enemies together so they can't move. He's even used them recently to make a shield, and although the impact pushed him back, it totally stopped the projectile that was flying at him at quite an impressive speed. People are sometimes dismissive of Mineta's quirk because it's so weird and limited, but I keep finding myself being surprised by the many different ways he uses it. Most notable is during the final exams when he faced Midnight. I know the teachers were going easy on the students, but Mineta managed to impress Midnight regardless by showing determination and using a new move, Grape Rush. Something I like about Mineta is that he doesn't shy away from his gimmicky quirk and runs with that grape theme. It's almost cute, and I can see him as a pro hero being a popular character for his persona. Picture the grape juice figurines, grape-scented scratch and sniff posters, even branded sticky grape toys that pick up all the fluff and pet hair when you drop them on the floor. In this universe, a hero's image is just as important as their ability, and I think any agency that ends up with grape juice on their books will sell a lot of merch. Hopefully by that time, he'll have grown out of his immaturity. But I think something that doesn't get acknowledged very much is how young the students actually are. In their mid-teens, many of them have aspects to their personalities that show their ages, like Bakugo's aggression, Deku being a crybaby, and Todoroki dealing with his family problems. So Mineta being obsessed with women is something that's realistic for his age, although it's obviously exaggerated for comedy. He wants to be popular and impress girls, and in the real world, even some older guys are driven by the same motive. The thing that gets annoying though, is that no matter how often the others reprimand him, Mineta doesn't learn not to be gross. His oblivious and over-the-top personality is what makes it so hard for him to make friends, because he is a fun person and a good teammate otherwise. It's difficult to feel sorry for him, since he doesn't grow in the same way other characters do, but we can still laugh at him. In fact, that's exactly what we're encouraged to do. On the other hand, there are some things to admire about Mineta. During the USJ attack, he was terrified to the point of crying and wanted to give up. But he sees Deku power through his fear to face the villains, which gives him the strength to do the same. This was the moment that said to me, Mineta deserves to be on the hero course. The most important thing for the students at this early stage of the story was to feel the fear and do it anyway. Even if they're scared or unsure, throwing themselves into the fight and doing their best to save people is what makes them fledgling heroes. Mineta bravely using his quirk to help capture those villains secured a possible escape for him, Deku, and Froppy. I'm always impressed when one of the students is able to push themselves to be better, and Mineta is no exception, especially considering how childish he seems in comparison to the others. There's also the fact that he trained his quirk by using it so much that he was bleeding, then powering through that to increase the amount of orbs he could take without injury. Now, I felt both horror and admiration when we were shown Ida doing something similar to his own quirk. So I think Mineta deserves some kind of recognition for doing this. It's clearly expected of heroes in training to go through this kind of thing, but it's still impressive either way. I want to give a quick manga spoiler warning for anime-only viewers, because I finally started reading it, and I have a point to make that's yet to be seen in the anime. During the second work studies, where the kids get mentored by pros, Mineta studies under Kamui Woods, Edgeshot, and Mount Lady. 2 of those heroes are in the top 10 of pro heroes in the whole of Japan. So it says a lot about him that Mineta has caught their attention. These 3 have quirks that involve doing slightly strange things with their bodies, so it's a good match for Mineta. And I think it just further solidifies that he has much greater potential than fans give him credit for. I considered making this an underrated character video, but I don't think Mineta is necessarily underrated. He's not super strong, and he doesn't have a lot of character development, but I do think he's underestimated. When he's fighting as a part of a team, he provides good support, and his personality is not as one-dimensional as fans tend to label him. Horikoshi, who writes My Hero Academia, has even said that he tries to balance Mineta's crude behavior with likability, although he admits that he struggles sometimes. MHA does depth of character well, and if you're a Mineta hater, I hope I've managed to convince you somewhat that he's no exception. Seeing how clever he can be with his quirk makes me want to see more of him, because just like the other students, I want to see him grow and fulfill his potential. And honestly, as long as he doesn't pop up too often, I do still find him funny. Well, that's all I have to say about the fresh-picked hero. I'm interested to hear what you think though. If you're one of those fans who hates Mineta, have I changed your mind? And is there another underappreciated character you'd like me to explore? Let me know down in the comments, and stick around for more My Hero Academia content soon.